Hello there, internet bikers. Last time you were here, or last time that I posted something, I was talking about why American and European motorcycles are so different to each other. And in this occasion, I'm gonna go a little bit more into detail in some things that might be similar to that, but I'm gonna do it in a different format. This time I'm gonna talk about the 5 things about American biker culture that make no sense in Spain, and by extent I would guess in Europe. Number 5 is winterizing your motorcycle. All right, we're starting soft. I know that this is not necessarily an America versus Europe type of thing. It's more about North versus South. But I can tell you right now that winterizing makes absolutely no sense in Spain. We don't need to do that. Spain is a country with marvelous weather, and that means we can ride our bikes all year round. It's the middle of March right now. It's like early mid-March, and I've been using my bike all winter. No issues. I mean, of course, this is a great bike for winter because it has heated grips, heated seats, and of course I have a pretty good winter weather gear, which means I'm pretty well prepared for it. Some other bikers may not be, and I know that when all I had was my cruiser, winter was hard, but I could still ride around on my cruiser even in winter. So I guess this is gonna be the same as in places like Florida, or maybe some parts of Arizona and Southern California. Yeah, you guys may not have to winterize your motorcycle, but most of the US does, and most of Europe, in fact, has to winterize it too. It's just in Spain that you don't have to do that, and I don't think you really have to do that anywhere in Spain. Don't have to winterize your motorcycles. So if you ever think about somewhere to go that you can ride your bike all year round, Spain is a good place for that. All right, number 4 things that make no sense in Europe or Spain from the American biker culture. That's gonna be cruiser motorcycles. Yeah, I went a little bit hard on that point in the video that I made about American versus European motorcycles, so I'm not going to repeat it too much. Just suffice to say that Europe is full of twists and turns, right? We're full of interesting roads, and we don't ride in straight lines, basically, because I mean they don't exist. Since I mean they exist, but they don't exist in the way that they do in America, which means that cruisers don't really make much sense here. On top of that, our cities are pretty tight, and that means not tight as in congested, although some might be, but tight in spaces, right? European cities were built before cars, and therefore they are designed for humans, whereas American cities are designed for cars, and that means that there's even downtown you have really wide streets. Downtown of any major American city is going to be full of wide streets. We don't have that in Europe. Our streets are very, very narrow, and I'm going to show you some of that in the near future, because I think it's going to be fun, right? But yeah, that is a reason why cruiser motorcycles just don't make sense here. They don't, and I would know. I have one. I duped myself into buying one many years ago before I realized that they don't really make much sense in Europe and Spain. All right, the third thing that American motorcycle culture has that makes no sense in Spain and Europe is drag racing. Yeah, like I said, we don't ride in straight lines, so drag racing makes no sense here. I mean, the only reason that you do drag racing, the only reason that drag racing is so popular in America is because you don't have twists and turns to properly race. Over here, we have these types of roads, like the one that I'm on right now. I mean, this is a great road, and it's just a regular road like many others that we have around. So how did racing come about? Well, before there were well, basically rules of the road, people would just ride as fast as they could anywhere they could, and those became the races. So in Europe, racing meant, hey, let's get from town A to town B as fast as we could, and that would mean going through these types of roads like this one, and you know, just beat the other guy there, and that would be a lot of fun. It is so much fun that people still do it today, even though it is no longer legal and it's going to get you in a lot of trouble. But you can't do that in the States, you can't do that in America, because racing from this town over to the next one, well, that's probably going to take 100 miles in many cases, and what's the point if it's just going to be in a straight line anyway? So just make it, just shorten the situation so you can race more often. And that's why you guys in the US have the quarter miles. That's why drag racing is so popular in America. It's because really, I mean, road racing just isn't fun. It won't make any sense when all the roads are flat and straight. Now, as I said before, this has evolved, and you can't do that in the streets anymore, but road circuits, they are a European invention, because it was a way to get these people out of the road and into a safer environment, mitigate that accident risk. But a drag strip just wasn't going to cut it when you knew what was out there in the roads. So that is why we ended up having circuit racing, in which you have all these great twists and turns and maybe one or two straight lines, and that's it. That's basically how it all works. And that's why drag racing makes no sense in Europe and Spain. Okay, now another thing that makes no sense in Spain and most of Europe that you guys do in America is the iron butt challenge. For those of you that don't know what an iron butt challenge is, it's basically doing 1,000 miles in a single day. And first, let's ask ourselves why. I mean, why would people do 1,000 miles on a single day? And here's my conclusion to that. Why would you have to do 1,000 miles in a single day? Because that's the only way that you're going to get to any interesting locations. Otherwise, you won't be able to do it in a day. I mean, when half of your country is flat and even, and it all looks the same, and there are no historical sites, well, I mean, you need to do 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 miles to get to the next interesting city or location. And that's why you guys have to do iron butt challenges in America. In Europe, it makes absolutely no sense to do an iron butt challenge, because if you do 1,000 miles in a single day, you have just steamrolled over so many interesting sites, so many beautiful locations, you know, so many amazing twisty roads that nobody does it here. I mean, it's just so much more fun if you don't do 1,000 miles. And instead of that, you know, you take advantage of all the amazing riding locations that we have all throughout Europe. So you will not see iron butt challenges in Europe at all, unless it's someone that is very much a fan of American biker culture. All right, the last thing that we don't have in Spain, at least that we don't have to the extent that it exists in America, and that I really think we should have, is bike nights. This is the thing that I think America does really great. I mean, there are bike nights everywhere. I think that's amazing. I wish we had bike nights over here, but we don't. I think more or less because of the way that the geography and the towns and the cities have been built up. But why do bike nights exist, really? I mean, I'm guessing here, and I'm not an expert, I've never been to a bike night in in the US, so I would really like to know. I mean, this is something that I'm asking. But why do you have bike nights? Because I think bike nights are a thing because everyone is spread out, and that's probably the only way that you're going to meet up with a lot of riding buddies, and that you're going to be able to see and talk about bikes. And we don't need to do that in Europe, at least not in Spain. Meeting up with riding buddies is to ride. So you don't do bike nights. What we do is, I mean, everyone lives a little bit closer together because of the way that the old world works. So we just meet up in a gas station. And so instead of meeting up in bike nights, we go and let's say, hey, let's meet up at 10 a.m. and let's ride together all day. And that's what we do, and we have a lot of fun. And we don't end up in a bike night or anything like that. But again, I think it would be great if instead of if for whatever reason there's a day that I can't really ride all day, but I still want to meet up with bikers and talk about bikes, I'd really love to go to a bike night. And I can't. They just don't exist over here. Why is that? I don't know. I don't really know. But in this case, I really would like some comments. Maybe this is also something that happens to people elsewhere in Europe. I'd like some comments. Why do you think we don't have bike nights in Spain and in Europe in general? That's it. So I mean, don't forget to leave me any comments. I'll gladly respond to every single one of them. And don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell icon so you get all the notifications. See you next time. Bye.